The room was quiet except for the soft crackling of the fire. Mia sat on the floor, hugging her knees to her chest, staring at the burning photos in front of her. Her wedding picture with Liam slowly curled at the edges, turning black and crumbling into ash. She didn't cry anymore. Her tears had dried hours ago. Now, all she felt was emptiness, like someone had ripped her heart out and left a hollow space behind. She whispered to herself, "I trusted you. How could you do this to me?" Just a few weeks ago, Mia thought she had everything. Liam was the love of her life, the man who could light up a room with his charm and laughter. Their friends called them the perfect couple, always together, always smiling. But now, she wondered if any of it had ever been real. She had built her world around him, giving up so much just to make their life perfect. And for what? For this betrayal? When Mia married Liam, she dreamed of being a designer and opening her own boutique. But those dreams had faded as she focused on being the supportive wife. Liam's startup had needed her help, and she was there every step of the way, helping with ideas, networking, and planning events to grow his business. Whenever she thought about her own dreams, she'd remind herself that their success was shared. "We're a team," Liam always said, but now those words felt like lies. It all started with small, strange changes. Liam used to be home for dinner every night, but lately he had been staying late at work more and more. "Just a late meeting," he would say, kissing her cheek. His excuses sounded believable at first, but things didn't add up. One night, she noticed the faint scent of a floral perfume on his shirt. Another time, she saw a red lipstick mark on his collar. Liam had laughed it off, saying it was from a client's playful hug. Mia had tried to believe him, but deep down, a storm was building in her chest. One night, after Liam had gone to bed, Mia couldn't sleep. She sat in the dark living room, scrolling through her phone, her mind racing. What if she was just overthinking everything? What if she was wrong? But doubt wouldn't let her rest. On impulse, she walked to Liam's office and opened his laptop. Her fingers shook as she typed in the password, his usual one. It worked. Her breath hitched as she opened his email, and there it was. Messages between Liam and a woman named Bella. Her hands froze as she read the flirty messages and plans for weekend getaways. It wasn't just a fling. They had been seeing each other for months, living a secret life behind her back. Mia's world crumbled around her. She could hear her heart pounding in her chest, the betrayal cutting deeper with every message she read. The next morning, Liam acted as if nothing had happened. He kissed her on the forehead and grabbed his briefcase like it was just another day. But for Mia, everything had changed. She sat at the kitchen table long after he left, staring at the empty coffee cup in front of her. How could he smile at her like that while hiding something so cruel? For a moment, she considered confronting him, screaming at him for what he had done. But something inside her stopped her. Crying and begging for answers wouldn't give her back the years she had wasted on him. She realized she didn't just want an explanation. She wanted him to feel what she was feeling. Pain, regret, and loss. He had broken her heart, but he had no idea what she was capable of now. Her heartbreak wasn't going to destroy her. It was going to fuel her. Mia spent the rest of the day sitting in the quiet house, her mind racing through 100 memories, each one now stained by the betrayal. The weekend trips to the beach, the late-night movie marathons, the way Liam used to surprise her with small gifts when she had a bad day. All of it felt fake now, like a cruel joke. But the more she thought about it, the clearer something became. Liam didn't just take her love for granted. He had taken her loyalty, her dreams, and her time. And now, she was done being his fool. Her phone buzzed on the table, breaking her thoughts. It was her best friend Ava calling. Mia hesitated, but picked it up. Ava's cheerful voice filled the air. "Hey, Mia, you okay? You sound off." Mia wanted to spill everything right there to tell Ava how her life had fallen apart overnight, but something held her back. She knew Ava would comfort her, tell her it wasn't her fault, and suggest they binge-watch a series with junk food until Mia felt better. But Mia didn't want comfort. She wanted action. "I'm fine," she said, forcing her voice to sound normal. "Just tired." Ava paused on the other end. "You sure? If you need me, I'm here." Mia bit her lip. "Thanks, Ava, I'll be okay." After hanging up, she stared at her phone, her fingers still hovering over the screen. She didn't want to be the helpless wife everyone pitied. She needed a plan. Her first thought was to confront Liam when he got home, but she knew that wouldn't give her the satisfaction she craved. He would apologize, lie some more, or worse, make her feel like she was the one overreacting. No, she needed to hit him where it hurt. She stood up, her mind buzzing with possibilities. If she was going to do this, she had to do it right. Her first step was to find out everything. She needed details. How long the affair had been going on, how much Liam had hidden, and what else he was lying about. She opened her laptop and began searching for clues. Old emails, bank statements, credit card charges. She combed through everything she could access. The more she found, the angrier she became. There were hotel bookings under Liam's name, expensive dinners at fancy restaurants she'd never heard of, and even a weekend getaway at a beach resort they had once visited together. The messages between Liam and Bella weren't just flirty. They were filled with promises of a future, plans to start a life together. Her stomach twisted, but she didn't stop. She couldn't afford to stop now. As she clicked through another file, she stumbled upon something that made her heart race. It wasn't just an affair. Liam had transferred large sums of money from their joint account into a private one, under his name only. Her fingers trembled as she scrolled through the transactions. He had been moving their savings for months, draining their account without her knowledge. Her anger ignited like a firestorm. He wasn't just cheating on her emotionally. He was preparing to leave her with nothing. Mia leaned back in her chair, her breathing heavy. The betrayal ran deeper than she had thought. She closed her laptop and sat still for a moment, letting the reality sink in. If Liam thought he could walk away from this clean, he was wrong. She wasn't the same woman who had smiled at him every morning and believed his lies. That version of Mia had died the moment she saw those emails. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Liam. "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up." Mia smirked. "Don't worry, Liam," she muttered under her breath. "I won't be waiting. I'll be ready." She stood up, her heart pounding with a new determination. She wasn't going to cry anymore. It was time for him to feel the pain he had caused. And this time, she'd be the one pulling the strings. The next morning, Mia woke up with a calm she hadn't felt in weeks. The storm inside her had settled, replaced by a cold, focused determination. She wasn't rushing into anything. This wasn't about screaming or slapping Liam when he walked through the door. It wasn't about begging him to explain why he had betrayed her. No, this was about taking control piece by piece until Liam had nothing left. He had stolen her trust, her future, and their savings. Now it was her turn. She got dressed in jeans and a simple top, but her reflection in the mirror surprised her. Her eyes, once soft and hopeful, now held something different. Something fierce. She tucked her hair behind her ear, took a deep breath and grabbed her bag. The first stop was the bank. At the counter, she put on a polite smile and handed over her account details. The teller tapped away at the keyboard before giving her an apologetic look. "I'm sorry, Mum, but most of the funds have been transferred to a private account under Mr. Liam Carson's name." Mia clenched her fists under the table, keeping her expression neutral. I see. Can you print me a copy of the transaction history, please? The teller nodded and handed her the papers. As Mia skimmed through them, her anger grew. Liam had been planning this for months, slowly moving small amounts so she wouldn't notice. He had even taken out a loan against their house, a loan she hadn't signed off on. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was financial, calculated, and cruel. With the papers in her bag, Mia left the bank and walked straight to a nearby cafe. She ordered a coffee and sat in the corner, her mind racing as she flipped through the documents. She needed someone who could help her untangle Liam's web of lies, someone smart, discreet, and ruthless. And she knew exactly who that someone was. Pulling out her phone, she scrolled through her contacts until she found the name, Jay Carter. Jay was an old friend from college, a tech genius who had once hacked into the university system to change his exam grades. They hadn't talked in years, but Mia knew he still ran in the underground tech circles. If anyone could dig up Liam's secrets, it was him. The phone rang twice before a familiar voice answered. Mia! Wow, this is a surprise. What's up? Hey, Jay, she said, keeping her voice steady. I need a favor, and before you ask, yes, it's serious. There was a pause on the other end, then a chuckle. You always had a way of getting me into trouble. What kind of favor are we talking about? Mia leaned forward, lowering her voice. I need you to find everything on my husband. His private accounts, messages, anything hidden. Can you do that? Jay whistled softly. That sounds intense. What did he do? Let's just say he made a mistake, she replied, her tone icy. And I want to make sure he regrets it. Jay didn't ask for more details. Send me what you have, and I'll get back to you in a few days. After ending the call, Mia leaned back in her chair and sipped her coffee. Step 1 was in motion. She wasn't sure how deep Liam's lies went, but she knew one thing for sure. By the time she was done, he wouldn't have a leg to stand on. Her phone buzzed with another message from Liam. Hope your day's going well. Love you. Mia stared at the message for a moment before typing a response. Love you too. It felt strange to write those words now, but she knew she had to keep him in the dark. For her plan to work, Liam had to think she was clueless, still the same trusting wife he had fooled for months. As she walked home, her mind was already planning the next move. She needed more than just digital proof. She needed to get close to Bella, the woman who had unknowingly become her enemy. Bella wasn't just a side fling. Liam had invested time and money into her. If Mia could plant a seed of doubt in Bella's mind, everything would start to unravel. The perfect couple Liam had built with his lies would collapse, one crack at a time. Mia's lips curled into a small smile. Liam had no idea what was coming. Mia spent the next few days carefully laying the groundwork for her plan. While Jay worked on digging through Liam's digital life, she turned her focus to Bella. She wasn't sure what kind of woman Bella was, but she had a hunch that anyone involved with Liam would be vulnerable to the right amount of pressure. After all, Liam had a talent for making women feel special, only to leave them stranded when things got complicated. Mia was counting on that. Through some light, social media stalking, she discovered that Bella worked as a marketing assistant at a small firm downtown. Her feed was filled with polished selfies, motivational quotes, and photos of weekend brunches. Mia couldn't help but roll her eyes at how picture-perfect Bella's life seemed. But there was something else, a pattern in her posts. Every Thursday, Bella had lunch at the same cafe near her office. That's where Mia would start. On Thursday afternoon, Mia sat in the cafe, her sunglasses perched on her nose as she sipped iced tea and waited. Sure enough, Bella walked in right on time, wearing a floral dress and heels, her long hair flowing behind her. Mia watched as Bella ordered her coffee and settled at a table near the window. She could feel her heart pounding, but she forced herself to stay calm. This wasn't about emotions, it was about strategy. After a few minutes, Mia casually stood and walked past Bella's table, accidentally bumping into her and spilling her drink. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," Mia exclaimed, grabbing napkins and offering them to Bella. Bella smiled politely, dabbing her dress. "It's okay, these things happen." Mia sat down next to her, still apologizing. "I feel terrible. Let me buy you another drink." Bella hesitated, then shrugged. "Sure, why not?" As they sat together, waiting for the new drinks, Mia made small talk, steering the conversation toward work, relationships, and life in the city. Bella, eager to share her life with a friendly stranger, didn't hold back. "My job is great, but dating in this city? Ugh, don't even get me started," she joked, rolling her eyes. Mia tilted her head, feigning curiosity. "Oh no, bad experience?" Bella laughed. "Not exactly. I'm seeing someone amazing right now. He's smart, successful, and so sweet. Honestly, he's different from the guys I've dated before." Mia forced herself to smile through the ache in her chest. "That sounds wonderful. What's his name?" "Liam," Bella said, her face lighting up. "He's been such a blessing. He's even talking about taking a big step soon. Maybe moving in together or something." Mia's fingers tightened around her glass, but she kept her expression neutral. "Wow, that sounds serious. How long have you two been seeing each other?" "Almost a year," Bella replied, leaning in as if sharing a secret. "We have this connection. I feel like I can trust him with anything." Mia's stomach churned. A year. The betrayal had started far earlier than she thought. But instead of showing her pain, she leaned forward and lowered her voice, as if sharing her own secret. "I've heard some stories about guys like that, though. You know, guys who seem perfect but have another life. You've never had any doubts about him?" Bella laughed. "Liam? No way. He's not like that." Mia nodded, forcing a soft smile. "I guess you're lucky then." As they finished their drinks, Bella thanked Mia for her kindness and left, blissfully unaware that she had just given Mia exactly what she needed. Liam had been feeding Bella the same lies he had fed her, creating a fantasy of love and trust. But fantasies were fragile, and Mia had just planted the first seed of doubt. On her way home, Mia's phone buzzed. It was a message from Jay. "Got something, call me." Her pulse quickened as she dialed his number. Jay answered almost instantly. "Mia, you're not going to believe this. I found hidden accounts, encrypted chats, and even a backup email Liam's been using. But here's the kicker. He's been funneling money not just to himself, but to Bella too. Expensive gifts, rent payments, even a down payment for a car." Mia felt her grip tighten around the phone. "He's been funding her life with my money." "Exactly," Jay confirmed. "But there's more. He's also been setting up a fake investment account under her name. It looks like he's planning to use it to cover up the missing money from his company." Mia's mind raced. This wasn't just about an affair. Liam was playing a dangerous game, and if she acted fast, she could make sure he lost everything. "Jay," she said, her voice steady, "send me all of it. I know exactly what to do next." She hung up, her heart pounding with anticipation. The pieces of her plan were falling into place. Bella's trust in Liam wouldn't last long once she found out he was using her, just like he had used Mia. And when Liam realized that everything he thought he had built was crumbling around him, it would be too late to fix it. Mia's lips curved into a small, determined smile as she entered her apartment. The game had only just begun. Mia spent the evening going through every file Jay had sent her. The evidence was damning. Liam had created a tangled web of lies, covering his tracks with precision, but not enough to escape her now. The hidden bank accounts, the fake investments, the lavish expenses, all of it pointed to a man who had spent months planning his escape. But what Liam hadn't planned on was her fighting back. By the time morning came, Mia had a new plan in place. Bella wasn't just a target, she was a key piece in bringing Liam down. If she could break Bella's trust in him and make her feel betrayed, the fallout would be catastrophic for Liam. People like Liam thrived on control, but once that control slipped away, their world collapsed. And Mia intended to make sure it did. Later that day, Mia sent a carefully worded message to Bella, using the contact information she had found during her digging. The message wasn't confrontational, it was friendly, curious, and perfectly calculated to stir doubt. "Hi Bella, it's Mia from the cafe. I know this might sound strange, but I think there's something you should see. I'm sending this out of concern. I've been in your shoes, and I wish someone had told me sooner. Let me know if you'd like to meet." She attached a screenshot of a hotel booking under Liam's name, one of the many she had found during her search. The booking was dated for a weekend he had supposedly spent out of town for work, which Bella would recognise instantly. Mia knew that if Bella even considered the possibility that Liam had been lying, she would dig deeper on her own. A reply came quicker than Mia had expected. "Let's meet. I need to know what this is about." Mia arranged to meet Bella that afternoon at a small cafe downtown. When she arrived, she saw Bella already sitting at a corner table, her usual cheerful glow replaced by a tense, worried expression. Mia sat down, keeping her face calm and supportive. She wasn't here to humiliate Bella. She was here to turn her into an ally. Bella leaned forward, her voice low and urgent. "Tell me the truth. What's going on with Liam?" Mia exhaled softly, pretending to hesitate before pulling out the documents she had printed. "I didn't want to hurt you," she said gently, "but Liam isn't who you think he is. He's been lying to both of us." Bella's hand shook as she flipped through the pages. Bank transfers, hotel bookings, and messages Liam had sent to both of them. Tears welled up in her eyes as she stared at the evidence. "I thought he loved me," she whispered. "He said we had a future together." Mia placed a comforting hand on Bella's. "I know exactly how you feel. I believed the same things. But Liam's been using us. He's been using you to hide money, and he's been using me to build his success. We deserve better." Bella wiped her tears, her breathing uneven. "He paid for my apartment, my car. He said it was because he wanted to take care of me. I thought it was a love." "It wasn't love," Mia replied softly but firmly. "It was control." Bella sat silently for a moment, then looked up with a mix of sadness and anger. "What do we do now?" Mia's lips curled into a small but determined smile. "We take back our power. You're going to confront him, but not before I'm ready. If we play this right, we'll make sure he loses everything." Bella's eyes hardened as she nodded. "I'm in." By the time they left the cafe, Mia knew she had turned the tide. Bella wasn't just a victim anymore, she was an ally. And with Bella on her side, Liam wouldn't know what hit him. The evening air felt different as Mia walked back home, her mind buzzing with possibilities. She had secured Bella's trust, and now it was time to tighten the noose around Liam's neck. She reviewed the next step in her plan, a controlled confrontation designed to make Liam crumble. But first, she needed to bait him into a false sense of security. Back at her apartment, Mia opened her laptop and sent Liam a text. "Let's do a date night tomorrow. I miss you." She stared at the message for a moment before hitting send, wondering if he would sense anything. Within minutes, his reply came back. "Of course!" "Can't wait, I've missed you too." Mia rolled her eyes at the lie, but smiled to herself. He thought she was still playing the role of the loving, clueless wife. Good. That's exactly where she wanted him. She spent the night finalizing her preparations, gathering the financial documents Jay had uncovered and the screenshots of messages between Liam and Bella. By the time she was done, her plan was airtight. The next evening, Mia greeted Liam at the door with a warm smile and a bottle of wine in hand. He kissed her cheek like nothing had ever happened, like he wasn't hiding a double life. The familiarity of his touch made her stomach churn, but she swallowed the bitterness. Tonight wasn't about emotions. It was about winning. They sat at the dinner table, eating takeout and chatting about meaningless things. Liam joked about a funny incident at work, and Mia laughed, pretending everything was normal. But as the evening went on, she could see hints of his unease. Maybe it was the way her smile didn't fully reach her eyes, or the way she poured herself more wine than usual. He wasn't stupid. He could sense when something was off. But before he could voice any suspicions, she struck. As he reached for another sip of wine, Mia casually placed her phone on the table and slid it toward him. The screen displayed a series of messages between him and Bella, the same one she had shown Bella the day before. Liam's hand froze on the glass as he read the incriminating texts. His face paled, and he looked up at Mia, his mouth slightly open, searching for words. "Surprised?" Mia said softly, leaning back in her chair. Her voice was calm, but inside she felt the rush of adrenaline. "You didn't think I'd find out, did you?" Liam placed the glass down slowly, his jaw tightening. "Mia, I can explain." "Don't," she interrupted, raising a hand. "I don't want to hear your excuses. I've heard enough lies to last a lifetime." He exhaled sharply, leaning forward as if he could somehow regain control. It wasn't serious with Bella. It didn't mean anything. Mia tilted her head, studying him with cold detachment. "Really? Then why were you planning to leave me? Why were you draining our accounts and setting up investments under her name?" Liam's eyes widened. He hadn't expected her to know about the financial betrayal. "Mia, listen to me! No, you listen!" she snapped, her voice rising slightly. "You didn't just cheat on me. You stole from me, from us. You were planning your future while leaving me with nothing. Did you really think I'd just sit here and let you get away with it?" Liam rubbed his hands over his face, struggling to come up with a response. "I was going to fix it. I just needed time." Mia laughed bitterly. "Time? Time to empty everything we built together? Or time to disappear with her?" He tried to reach for her hand, but she pulled away, standing up and walking toward the living room. "It's over, Liam. I've already spoken to my lawyer. You'll be hearing from them soon." Liam followed her, panic setting in. "Mia, please, don't do this. I made a mistake, but we can fix it. We can start over." Mia turned around, her eyes burning with fury. "Start over? After everything you've done? The only thing left for you to do is watch everything fall apart." She grabbed a file from the coffee table and tossed it at him. "In here are the details of every account you tried to hide, every message you sent her, and every dollar you stole. Bella knows everything too. I made sure of that." Liam's face crumpled as he realized the full extent of her plan. "Bella knows?" Mia smirked. "She's not your safety net anymore. She's done with you. And soon, so will everyone else be." He staggered back, the weight of his downfall hitting him all at once. "You don't understand what you're doing." "No, Liam," she said, her voice steady. "You don't understand what I'm doing. I'm taking back what you stole from me, and I'm making sure you can't hurt me or anyone else ever again." She walked to the door and opened it. "You should leave now, before I change my mind and call the cops." Liam stared at her, broken and defeated. For a moment, it looked like he was going to beg, but he seemed to know it was useless. Without another word, he grabbed his coat and walked out. As the door closed behind him, Mia felt the tension in her body release. She had done it. He was gone. But as she leaned against the door, she knew this wasn't the end. Liam wasn't the type to give up easily. He would try to fight back, and she would be ready for him. The house felt eerily quiet after Liam left, but for the first time in weeks, Mia welcomed the silence. She stood there, leaning against the door, listening to her own steady breathing. Her hands were still trembling, the adrenaline from the confrontation slowly fading. She had won this round, but she knew it wasn't over. Liam wasn't going to walk away quietly. He was a man who thrived on control, and she had just yanked it away from him. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. It was a message from Bella. "He called me. He's trying to convince me to meet him. What do you want me to do?" Mia thought for a moment before replying, "Agree to meet, but don't go. I want him to think you're still on his side. I'll take care of the rest." Bella replied quickly, "Got it. Let me know what happens." Mia sighed and put her phone down, walking over to the living room window. The night outside was calm, but inside her mind, plans were forming rapidly. She knew Liam would try to salvage whatever he could. His money, his reputation, and perhaps even Bella. But what he didn't know was that Mia had anticipated this. She had already set the final phase of her plan in motion. She picked up the folder Jay had sent earlier and thumbed through the pages, her fingers tracing the names of the hidden accounts, the encrypted emails, and the fake investments Liam had created. Each document was a weapon, and she was about to use them all. The next morning, Mia dressed in a sleek black outfit, simple, elegant, and powerful. She wasn't the same woman who had cried herself to sleep over Liam's betrayal. Today, she was someone new, someone who had learned how to fight back. She grabbed her keys and headed out, her destination clear: Liam's office. When she arrived at the towering building where Liam's startup was headquartered, she walked confidently past the receptionist, her heels clicking against the marble floor. She had been here countless times before, attending meetings and supporting Liam's dreams. But today was different. Today, she wasn't here to support him. She was here to destroy the illusion he had built. She stopped in front of the glass conference room, where Liam was sitting with a group of executives. He looked up, his face freezing when he saw her. The colour drained from his cheeks, but Mia didn't flinch. She opened the door and stepped inside, ignoring the puzzled stares of the others. "I need to speak with you," she said, her voice calm but firm. Liam hesitated, glancing at his colleagues before nodding. "Excuse me for a moment," he said, standing up and leading her out into the hallway. Once they were alone, his mask of confidence slipped. "What are you doing here, Mia?" She held up the folder. "I'm giving you a chance to do the right thing. If you don't, I'm releasing everything. Your financial scams, your fake investments, and your affair. You'll lose the company, your investors, and whatever's left of your reputation." Liam's hands balled into fists. "You wouldn't," Mia smirked. "You don't get to tell me what I would or wouldn't do anymore." He paced back and forth, desperation creeping into his voice. "Think about what this will do to both of us. If you destroy me, you'll be dragged down too." Mia crossed her arms. "I'm not afraid of the fallout. I've got nothing to lose anymore. But you do. So, here's the deal. I want full control of our assets, and you'll sign over your shares of the company. In return, I won't go public with this." Liam stared at her, his breath coming in short, angry bursts. "You can't win." "I already have," Mia said, her eyes locked on his. "But if you'd like me to prove it, I can make a few phone calls right now." For a long moment, Liam said nothing. His gaze darted between her and the folder, calculating his next move. He knew she wasn't bluffing. Finally, with a defeated sigh, he said, "Fine. I'll sign the papers. Just Don't ruin me. Mia leaned in closer, her voice barely a whisper. You ruined yourself, Liam. Without waiting for a response, she turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, trapped by the web of lies he had spun. As she exited the building, she felt a weight lift off her shoulders. The battle wasn't over, but she had taken back control. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was Jay. His message was simple. The final transfer is done. He can't touch the money now. Mia smiled to herself as she replied, Good. Let's finish this. Mia arrived home just as the sun began to set, casting a warm orange glow across the living room. She stood by the window, her mind swirling with everything that had happened. Liam had agreed to her terms, but she knew better than to trust his compliance. He wasn't the type to surrender easily. He would be plotting his next move, and so would she. Her phone buzzed. It was Bella again. He's texting me non-stop, asking why I didn't show up. What do you want me to say? Mia typed back. Tell him you were stuck at work and we'll meet him tomorrow. Keep him waiting, but don't commit to anything. I need him distracted. Bella replied quickly. Got it. Satisfied, Mia sat at her desk and opened her laptop. She had one final task to complete before this chapter of her life could truly be closed. She pulled up the files Jay had sent earlier, specifically the backup email account Liam had been using. Buried deep in the inbox were messages he thought were hidden, emails not only to Bella, but also to business partners he had been deceiving, fake contracts and financial statements he had forged to cover up the money he'd siphoned. Mia selected the most damaging documents and compiled them into a folder labelled Final Exposure. She wasn't planning to release them yet, but they were her insurance policy. If Liam tried to double-cross her or go after her assets, she would release them to the company's investors and authorities without hesitation. Once the folder was secure, she opened her email and typed a short message to Liam's legal team. Subject: Urgent. Asset Transfer Agreement Body. As discussed, please find the attached documents. I expect the paperwork to be finalised within 24 hours. Failure to do so will result in immediate legal action. She attached the necessary forms and hit send. With that, she leaned back in her chair and exhaled. She wasn't just reacting anymore, she was setting the terms. Just as she closed her laptop, there was a knock at the door. Her heart skipped a beat, but she quickly composed herself. She walked to the door and opened it, half expecting to see Liam standing there with a desperate plea. But it wasn't him. It was Ava. Surprise! Ava said, holding up a bottle of wine. Thought you could use some company. Mia hesitated, then smiled, stepping aside to let her in. You have no idea how perfect your timing is. They settled on the couch, and Ava poured them each a glass of wine. Okay, Ava said, turning to her with a curious expression. Spill. What's going on? You've been acting weird for weeks. Mia stared at the glass in her hand, swirling the liquid as she debated how much to share. Ava had been her best friend for years, but until now, Mia had kept her in the dark. She didn't want pity, and she didn't want to be told to take the high road. But now, with the worst behind her, she felt ready to open up. I found out Liam's been cheating on me, she said softly, her voice steady. Not just that, he's been stealing from me too. Ava's eyes widened. What? Are you serious? Mia nodded. I've been handling it. I've got a plan, and I'm almost done with him for good. Ava set her glass down and grabbed Mia's hand. Mia, why didn't you tell me sooner? I would have helped you. I know, Mia said, squeezing her hand. But I had to do this on my own. I needed to take back control. Ava leaned back, studying her. You're stronger than I gave you credit for, but you don't have to fight alone anymore. Whatever you need, I'm here. Mia smiled. warmth filling her chest. For the first time in a long time, she felt supported without feeling weak. "Thanks, Ava. I'm almost at the finish line." They spent the next hour talking and laughing, and for a moment, Mia allowed herself to feel normal again. But as the night grew darker and Ava left, reality crept back in. She had won the battle, but the war wasn't over yet. Her phone buzzed once more. It was another message from Liam. "We need to talk. Please, I can fix this." Mia didn't reply. She stared at the message, her fingers hovering over the screen before she locked the phone and set it aside. Liam had lost the power to control her emotions. He wasn't her problem anymore. He was just an obstacle she had to remove. Tomorrow, the final papers would be signed, and Liam would lose everything he had stolen. But even then, Mia knew she wouldn't fully trust his downfall until she saw it with her own eyes. She poured herself another glass of wine and sat by the window watching the night sky. The storm that had consumed her life was almost over. All that remained now was to deliver the final blow. The next morning, Mia woke up early, her mind sharp and focused. Today was the day she would close this chapter. The air outside felt crisp, like it carried the promise of change, and for the first time in weeks, she felt like she could breathe without the weight of betrayal pressing down on her chest. She made herself a cup of coffee and sat by the kitchen window, going over the final plan in her head. Liam had signed the asset transfer documents late last night, thanks to the pressure from his legal team. His company shares were now officially in her control, and her lawyer had ensured the transfer of all remaining funds into her new account. Liam didn't know it yet, but by the time the day ended, everything he had once owned would be gone, including Bella's loyalty. Just as she finished her coffee, her phone buzzed with another message from Jay. "All set. Bella should get the email any minute now." Mia smiled, her fingers tingling with anticipation. She had asked Jay to send Bella an anonymous email with screenshots of Liam's hidden accounts and financial manipulations, making it clear that he had used Bella just like he had used Mia. Moments later, Bella's response came through. "He's done. I just blocked him. Thank you for showing me the truth. I'm so sorry for everything, Mia. I wish I had known sooner." Mia replied, "It's not your fault. We were both deceived. Now, let's make sure he doesn't hurt anyone else." With Bella cutting ties and Liam officially isolated, there was only one thing left to do. She grabbed her bag and headed downtown to meet her lawyer. The meeting was quick, but satisfying. The legal team confirmed that the transfer was finalized, and Liam no longer had access to the accounts he had once drained. The final blow had been delivered, and he wouldn't see it coming until it was too late. As Mia left the office, her phone rang. It was Liam. She hesitated for a moment before answering, curious about what his next move would be. "Mia," his voice came through, desperate and shaky. "Please, let's talk." "There's nothing left to say," she replied calmly, walking down the busy street as cars honked in the distance. "I can fix this," he pleaded. We can fix us." Mia stopped walking, letting the noise of the city surround her for a moment. "You didn't just break my heart, Liam. You broke everything we built together, and you didn't care until you lost control." "I made mistakes," he admitted, his voice cracking, "but I didn't think you'd do this to me. You've taken everything." "No, Liam," she said, her voice firm. "I only took back what was mine, what you tried to steal. The rest? That's on you." There was a long silence on the other end before Liam spoke again. "You're going to regret this." Mia smiled to herself, not the least bit afraid. "No, Liam, I've never felt more free." She hung up, blocking his number for good. The weight of his presence in her life lifted, as if she'd finally broken free from a cage she didn't even know she was trapped in. She stood there for a moment, letting the feeling sink in before heading home. As she walked into her apartment, sunlight streamed through the windows, warming the space that had once felt cold and empty. She sat on the couch and opened her laptop one last time, deleting every file related to Liam from her desktop. The evidence had served its purpose and she didn't need it anymore. Her phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't Liam. It was Ava. The message read, "Drinks tonight? Let's celebrate the new you." Mia smiled and typed back, "Absolutely." "I'm ready." She leaned back against the couch, closing her eyes for a moment. The storm was over. Liam was gone, and with him went the pain, the lies, and the betrayal. All that remained now was her new beginning, one she was finally ready to embrace. That evening, Mia stood in front of her mirror, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear as she took in her reflection. Her face was calm, but her eyes sparkled with something new. Freedom. No longer weighed down by doubt or fear, she felt like she could finally see herself for who she was, strong, independent, and ready for the life she had almost forgotten she wanted. The dress she chose was simple but elegant, a deep shade of blue that complemented her skin and made her feel powerful. She slipped on a pair of heels, applied a final touch of lipstick, and grabbed her bag. Tonight wasn't just about celebrating with Ava, it was about marking the start of her new life. The bar was already lively when she arrived. Soft music played in the background, and the warm hum of conversation filled the room. Ava spotted her immediately and waved her over. She had already ordered drinks, and as Mia slid into the seat across from her, Ava raised her glass. "To new beginnings," Ava said, clinking her glass against Mia's. "And to never letting any man steal your shine again." Mia chuckled, the sound light and genuine. "I'll drink to that." They sipped their cocktails, laughing about old memories and sharing stories about their future plans. Ava talked about her upcoming work project, and for once, Mia didn't feel left behind or trapped by what could have been. She had plans of her own now. She was already working on designs for her boutique, and with the money she had reclaimed, she could finally make her dream a reality. Halfway through the evening, Ava leaned in, her tone curious. "So, now that Liam's out of the picture, any thoughts about what's next? I mean, besides world domination, of course." Mia grinned. "World domination sounds good, but honestly, I just want to live for myself for a while. I spent too long putting someone else first. It's time I see what life looks like when I'm my own priority." Ava nodded approvingly. "That's exactly what you should do. But if a new guy comes along, just make sure he earns his place." "Oh, trust me," Mia said with a smirk. "I won't be handing out second chances anymore." The night continued with more drinks, more laughter, and a sense of closure Mia hadn't realized she needed. By the time she got home, the city lights twinkled through her window like tiny reminders of the possibilities waiting for her. She kicked off her heels, grabbed a glass of water, and sat on the couch. Her phone buzzed one last time for the night, but this time it wasn't Liam or Ava. It was an email from a potential investor who had shown interest in her boutique. The subject line read, "We'd love to discuss your vision." Mia smiled, her heart swelling with pride and excitement. She set the phone down, knowing that tomorrow she'd wake up and take the next step in building her future. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't afraid of what was ahead. She wasn't running from pain or trying to fix something broken. She was moving forward, fully in control, and that was the most powerful feeling of all. With a deep breath, she turned off the lights, crawled into bed, and closed her eyes. The past was finally behind her, and tomorrow was a blank canvas waiting to be painted with her dreams.